This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast, and I am so excited to welcome today's guest, not least because she is the person responsible for our amazing branding at Key Recruitment. She took a magic wand in 2022 and somehow crept into my brain, literally saw what I saw in terms of the vision of what I wanted to do, and somehow miraculously came with it. And that's why I needed you all to know about her. And I think if you're actually active on LinkedIn, you've probably also seen her profile. So this is Jane Kisnica. I hope I've said that correctly. And she runs Content by Jane. It will do. And you're joining us from somewhere in the globe. I don't even quite remember. Is it Thailand? Is that where you are right now?
Thailand, yeah.
I remember.
I'm in Bangkok right now.
Welcome to you today, Jane. How are you?
Oh, thank you. I'm good. I'm really good. Glad to be on here. So excited you invited me. So thank you.
You're so welcome. And anyone that knows that I do record this in advance and I do a full day of podcasting, and Jane was very accommodating and I think you moved a couple of times to accommodate my ridiculous schedule. So for those who for some reason are not yet following you, and they certainly will be after this, because you have got an amazing profile on LinkedIn, just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do.
Right. So I'm a graphic designer. I actually used to work in recruitment for a recruitment agency in London, doing their design and marketing for about 4 years. Mm-hmm. And then I just realized that I want my freedom back and want to go and travel and do my own thing. And I kind of started building my freelance stuff on LinkedIn, and that allowed me to travel and just do whatever I want. But I design day in, day out, brochures, logos, LinkedIn banners, the whole slide decks, whatever a business might need. That's sort of, I take the information and I make it look pretty.
You do, well, you really do. And I'm not joking in that intro that I remember you sent me the questionnaire through, and I was a bit like, it's still not you being in my head, but when you came back with the ideas, I was like, oh my God, she's literally got this right. So honestly, go and have a look. You'll see all the beautiful coloured banners around our profile pictures and all our amazing LinkedIn, but also on our website as well. So yeah, I obviously professionally have partnered with you, and it's actually through LinkedIn that I came to you. I think you'd started sharing content, your own content quite significantly whilst you were still employed, but there was something, was that purposeful? Did you go out to sort of build your own brand on LinkedIn? How did that come about?
Yeah. So it was, I first started on Instagram, and just no results. I still haven't closed a single client on Instagram. I don't really post on it anymore. I upload some stuff every couple of months, just sort of in case someone lands on it, but I don't use it. But I was using LinkedIn for work. So the company I worked for, they had a big business page and all that, so I would manage that and do some posts mostly for work on LinkedIn. And I just started following people like Leah Turner and a few other bigger creators who had literally built their businesses during COVID online, posting on LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh, you can do that. That's what personal branding is. But to me, personal branding up until then was kind of, it's what influencers on Instagram do. Look at me, I'm staying in this pretty hotel type of thing. That's what I thought personal branding was to an extent. And then I started following all the other people and kind of realizing, oh no, there's a bit more to this. It actually is a very amazing tool that you can do great things with. And I thought, you know what, I have opinions. Why can't I share them? I'm no different than Leah Turner or any other of the big creators. I have things to say. Why can't I? And then I just started posting, and it was crickets in the beginning. It took quite a few months before it kind of started getting any traction and engagement. And during that time I commented a lot, and I posted and I talked to people. So I wasn't just posting and ghosting. I was always online, always talking to people, and then it kind of just snowballed, and here we are.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you've absolutely nailed what for me LinkedIn is all about, and that way, and this will lend very well into the sort of next question around brand and logo and everything. But you, right from the start, were yourself. You weren't purporting to be, and although you did work for an employer at the time, I think that's what attracted me to you. I think that you were saying things that I'm not saying were purposefully contrary, but you were putting yourself out there And it takes one to know one, because that's what I do in my community as
Yeah.
well. as we will come on to talk to, I think we are going to talk a little bit around trolling, but I think that's where you've definitely, for me, epitomized where LinkedIn is right now, which is that and that's where I think having the good brand, and I know we'll talk about this, this is where you can, as a leader listening, because we have a lot of people listening across the globe, which is phenomenal. You are leaders, you're running companies or boutiques, or maybe running a silo business. You have to understand the power of creating a meaningful brand about yourself on LinkedIn, and you are the perfect example of that. And you're the fellow selfie queen, that's for sure.
I am. Yeah, absolutely. Like it changed, like posting on LinkedIn changed my life in less than 6 months.
Wow.
I quit my job 9 months into posting on LinkedIn. I quit my job and went fully freelance, and now I'm traveling and I'm self-sufficient and have my own business, and I'm kind of just doing what I want, so I have my freedom, and it's literally all from the back of posting on LinkedIn.
Wow.
I haven't done anything else. I don't do any like paid ads or marketing or anything like that. Everything comes from LinkedIn, and it's just because I turn up every day, I post, I comment, and I engage.
You follow all the basic rules, and obviously I'm a huge advocate of that. So that is the first amazing point that I want anyone listening to take away from this. Do not underestimate the power of LinkedIn. So, and it does lead very nicely to your whole forte, the whole business that you run, which is around brand, logo, design. So why do you think that matters, as opposed to somebody possibly just doing something themselves on Canva? Just talk about why there needs to be somebody like yourself involved.
So it's just, obviously, if you, first of all, when it comes to Canva, anything you design on Canva, you don't own.
Right.
So
I didn't know that. They own it.
Yeah. Yeah, they own it, because you pay them a subscription fee to use their assets. So if you create a logo in Canva, first of all, you can't create a logo from scratch, because you can't adjust the type, you can't adjust the shapes, you can only kind of stick together a few things that Canva already offers you as pre-made assets. You can't really customize anything.
Right.
So whatever you create, logo or whatever else it is, it's not going to be original artwork. Right. So you don't own it. You can't what's the word?
Patent it?
Yeah, you can't
license it. Yeah.
I forgot what it was called. To trademark it. There we go. Trademark. So you can't trademark it, license it, whatever. You don't own it. I think there's different like restrictions on printing and things like that as well. So if you're just starting out and you don't have a budget to go to a designer, obviously Canva is a great tool to kind of get those basics going. But if you want to build a strong brand and strong branding and unique logo that's just for your business and have all the assets and have it done correctly, you need a designer. You won't be able to do that with Canva, because there's lots of limitations. Because when I design logos on Illustrator, which is Adobe Illustrator, which is what I use for logo design, I can adjust anything. I can take the letter Q and I can take parts of it out. I can reshape it. I can add things. I can edit every single aspect of every letter, of every shape, and customize it. You can't do that.
Right. That's like such a massive takeaway, because we get a lot of people, because obviously we can only base who's actually listening. We can see where people are listening on the analytics, which is amazing for us to see, but we can never really know who our actual listener is unless I get messages, and we do get, and it's brilliant. A lot of them are start out, they're launching their own businesses. So that is an absolute gold dust, because I didn't know that. So there you go. Thank you for educating us on that. So we have already alluded to the whole kind of brand thing, and I think, like I say, you've definitely sort of got all the pillars in place, and people listening that have maybe employed in another company, you can still create a very meaningful personal brand on LinkedIn. But I think, where have you seen some of the pitfalls? Because I know you've talked very openly about your your situation, your personal challenges, your professional challenges, and you do get, we were just talking off camera, you do put yourself out there, and it means you do often get trolled. So what's your experience been, and have you got any advice for anyone that's experiencing the keyboard warriors for the first time?
Block them.
Right.
Don't give them the time of your day, just block them. I used to, like, the more followers I get, the more hate I get. Someone will always, no matter what topic I talk about, no matter what I say, someone will call me arrogant or whatever else they might come up with, and I just block them. Don't engage.
What if it's somebody, right? And I mean, you know, I think you get two kinds of people: those that just literally do block and that's it, they move on from it, and then you get someone like me who kind of pokes the bear a little bit, and that's because very often I've had, let's say, and I'm not saying I don't want everybody to agree with me. I'm not vanilla. I want people to debate. I love healthy discussion. The only one that knows me off LinkedIn knows that is genuinely me. I'm really intrigued by people's opinions. But I won't be trolled, and I won't, when people start saying personal taunts, like you said, like arrogant or slut shaming or whatever it might be, or get your face off, stop. Actually, what if they're a connection, and what if they're a valuable connection? What if it's someone that's just going, hang on, I don't agree with you, and then you block? By blocking, you're removing all their connections as well. So there's a risk there. So what would your advice be on that basis?
See, I don't care about that. I just don't want. I don't want negativity in my feed. I don't go around attacking people personally.
No.
Even if I don't agree with their content, I might express my opinion, but I would never attack someone and use hurtful language or anything like that. So for me, I don't care that they might have someone. There's 800, 900 million people on LinkedIn. I don't care about the person's 100 connections.
I'm gonna be more Jane. And actually, you're right, because when it happened, I got trolled quite badly at the start of 2023, like really quite awfully. And in fact, one of the trolls I reported then reported me for saying something very patronizing. I called him my dear, although I did use the F word later. I don't know why I'm saying F word. I can say fuck on my own show. And actually, I had a few people sort of message me privately saying, you know, that was it was vitriolic. He wasn't even in my target audience. I think he was a chef or something. But my point that I was trying to make before I blocked him was, I can curate what I want on my own feed. I can share what I want on my own feed. And if you don't like it, just swipe past, you know, just keep on moving. You don't need to engage, you know, that's the reality. So bringing it back to you and what you've achieved since you've gone freelance is what looks like to an outsider the idyllic digital nomad life. So talk us through the reality, because there will be, and I know there's been a lot of changes logistically and legally for people being allowed to do that now, especially across Europe. And there might be people, certain demographics that go, wow, I've got no mortgage, no commitments, I'm going to go and do it. So what is the reality of a digital nomad life?
It's not all like the internet and influencers tend to show it like it's this magical, you're always traveling and seeing all these amazing places and doing all these amazing things and working a couple of hours a day on your life. It's none of that. Maybe some people do live like that, but they're probably someone who's been doing it for 10 years. They have loads of passive income sources, or they're coaches who charge, you know, $10,000 a month for a couple of hours of coaching a week. There probably are some, but most people, like for me, I spend most days in my apartment working.
Okay.
You know, I am in Bangkok. I am you know, in a tropical country. In my weekends, last weekend I went scuba diving.
I know. I see your posts about the food and the beach and everything else. But the reality is that is just your weekend. Like I might spend the weekend up Holcombe Hill.
Yeah, exactly. So I still work full-time hours, probably work more than full-time hours most days. It just it gives me being my own boss obviously gives me the flexibility of I might not want to work today. I want to go and do something. I go and do it, and then I need to catch up at some other point during the week. And my weekends probably look slightly different than most people's weekends, because I can go scuba diving, or I can go and sit by a nice pool somewhere, or, you know, go to an island for a couple of days or go hiking in the jungle.
So do you have a plan? I think that's what it's probably something that I might never do now. I mean, I'm nearly 50 and I've got 2 dependents and I run a business from the UK. But if I didn't have my dependents, then I possibly could see myself doing that. So do you have a plan? Do you set yourself a time limit of how long you're going to stay in a country? How do you build a community or friends? Just the practicalities, I guess, I'm interested about as well.
So I don't have like, I'm not big on planning massively ahead. It depends, again, it depends on what country you go to. It depends what the visa situation is like.
Right.
For example, with Thailand, you can easily get a 6-month tourist visa, so it gives you a lot of time. You can stay here, you can get a multi-entry 6-month visa as well, so it means you can, like, you come to Thailand, which I'm going to do, use it as a base, and then travel out every couple of weeks or every couple of months to Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, or whatever, wherever you want to go. But with Vietnam, for example, they only have a 30-day tourist visa, so it's you have to go out every 30 days. So it really it depends on where I'm staying and how long I'm staying for. It really depends on the situation, how much I like the place. Like, originally I was planning to stay in Bali for 6 months, but then it was nice, but it wasn't for me. I was missing the city life. So I cut my trip short and came back to Bangkok after 4 months. So it just depends on what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling, because I have the flexibility. I'm not tied to anything or anywhere. I can go where I want, when I want to.
Definitely food for thought. It's food for thought. And I think that those, I mean, obviously our audience is mainly recruitment consultants and business owners, and I think, you know, there are some that have absolutely nailed the remote working. So I see no reason why a digital nomad cannot exist within our industry. And I think it's good to give the reality of that. I think it's a lot of consideration. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Like, you have to juggle a lot of plates when you travel, and especially if you I like slow travel, so I stay in each place for at least a month or maybe even more, because you need to get used to the area. You need to find all the places, the gym, the supermarket, the whatever else you might need. That takes time, it takes energy. You have to think about Wi-Fi, because I've stayed in places where the Wi-Fi has been shocking and it's been impossible to work, which is
how stressful, very stressful.
Yeah, I like, when I was in Bali, me and someone were trying to do a live on LinkedIn, and it was just a complete flop because my internet was so bad.
Oh my God. Work. Never mind running water. We need Wi-Fi.
Yeah. That's water I can get in bottles. I need Wi-Fi.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, there's just a lot of, you have to think about a lot of things. You need to, every time you move and change location, it takes time until you adjust to the place, and it means you're not working during that time, so you kind of fall behind, and then you need to catch up, and it can be stressful. So there's just a lot of juggling and a lot of planning and a lot of, like, where am I, what am I going to do, how am I going to do it? You know, I sometimes spend hours finding an apartment or a hotel and sorting out flights and transportation, or figuring out the logistical
side of it.
It's very time consuming.
A lot of work. It's a lot of work. And, you know, just thinking, even when you go on holiday, it takes a few days to adjust. So if you're doing that each time, you're then settling. So I think it's all food. And especially for those leaders who are thinking of offering this, then maybe there is a lot for them to think about. Before I let you go, because I know that you're probably coming to the end of your day there over in Thailand, one of the things that I think connected us, I think initially, was around your sort of advocacy around mental fitness and mental health and mental well-being and physical well-being as well. Where do you see the landscape in terms, because we were all talking about it, you know, that was the first thing that you saw on LinkedIn if you clicked on in 2020. Where do you see it now and going forward in terms of the workplace and in terms of people actually, you know, doing it for themselves rather than just ticking a box?
I think it's definitely become a more sort of mainstream topic, especially since COVID. I think COVID brought the whole mental health really to the forefront because we were just taken out of our daily routines and out of our daily lives and from friends and family and stuff. And I think it affected a lot of people, not just physically, but also mentally. So that conversation became a lot more normal. And I think if things are getting better, it is becoming a lot more mainstream. More people are talking about it. More businesses are implementing, you know, things like mental health days and rest days and what duvet days or whatever else you want to you want to call them, and you know, more flexible working and things like that. So I think things are getting definitely, they're not getting worse, they're getting better. We still have a long way to go because there's still a lot of stigma around mental health and depression and anxiety, you know, those type of things. There's still a lot of people out there who think, you know, it's not a thing, or if you have depression, it means that you're weak or you're not capable to do X, Y, and Z. And so there's still a lot of
an education piece to go, isn't there? I think you're right. I think if we think pre-COVID, and I don't think it matters whether you're listening as a recruiter or not, actually. I think generally speaking, it was stigmatized, it was cure rather than prevention. And I think that's what the last 3 years has done, that we've kind of taken the steering wheel back and we've said, right, what can we do as business owners? What can we do for ourselves to ensure we're putting everything in place to give us the best chance of the best mental health and well-being? And, you know, I'm not a medical person, but it's not a choice to have good or bad mental health. We all have mental health, and like we do physical health, it changes daily. You know, I've got a shoulder injury at the moment. You know, that's the same challenge physically as having depression. You know, these are challenges that you don't have a choice, you don't take it on. So I think that's where the narrative has changed, but I think there's still a long way to go, because I do still think that until you can sit there in an interview and without any risk of repercussion or prejudice or discrimination, you can sit there and say, yeah, I have depression. I think until we can say that safely in an interview, and we can encourage our candidates to say that, if that is the case, that they won't then be discriminated against, I still think we need to still keep pushing and educating people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's still a lot of, as I said, there's still a lot of stigma behind it, and a lot of, I personally know people who think that mental health isn't a thing and isn't like, it's something that people my age as well, which is kind of scary.
So that's just it. I mean, we all have mental health crazy. Right. Well, I've just been listening, and obviously we do record this in advance, but you need to go and search on Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO. He has shared a podcast with the amazing Simon Sinek, who I could listen to every day, all day. And one of the things he shared, have you listened to it today? So we're recording this in March, guys, and this will be going out much later in the year. But this podcast, what he asks us all to think about is that we all think about self-care and how we look after ourselves, but we need to start thinking, actually, how do we then support other people? What pillars do we put in place to be able to say to a friend, what can I do to support you? What I want to listen. I'm not going to be able to deal with that situation, but I'm just going to listen and stop and listen and help each other in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very everyone should listen to that episode. It's very, very good.
It's a brilliant show, isn't it? I mean, Simon Sinek's podcast is just, he did one with Brene Brown and with Adam, what's his name? He's gone. Can't think of his name. On Brene Brown's podcast. No, totally disappeared. And it's brilliant. I just think he's definitely somebody you should go and listen to. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm guessing you listen to other podcasts too. Do you have a podcast, Jane?
My own? No. I was going to, but then too much work.
Well, that's fine. And if just keep being an amazing guest, which you have been today. And I know how busy you are. So thank you so much for joining us on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been great. Thank you.